morning, good afternoon, good evening, possibly even good night if you're in Asia or Australia. You should probably be sleeping if you're there. I'm Alan Zekelman, chairman of Bar-Ilan University's Global Board of Trustees, and I want to welcome you to our conversation today. Strength in the Storm, how Bar-Ilan University supports students in wartime. From its beginnings, Bar-Ilan was meant to be different. It would be a place where higher learning would be fused with foundational Jewish values and tradition. From inception until today, that has remained at its core. It's a place of opportunity, open to all who embrace it, offering an education grounded in values, science, and service. Through every chapter of Israel's history, whether absorbing new immigrants, building Israel's tech ecosystem, or serving in times of national crisis, BIU has stood by its people. In the aftermath of October 7th, Bar-Ilan's DNA kicked in. The faculty, students, alumni, and donors worldwide banded together to create initiatives to support those affected by the tragedy and those who stood tall to fight. It was a true deepening of the university's lifelong mission of support. This is the lens through which we'll explore BIU's responses, its immediate actions, its actions during the months that followed, and its preparation for the future. Today, I'm joined by two remarkable leaders, Professor Arie Zaban, president of Bar-Ilan University, and Jessica Feldan, CEO of American Friends of Bar-Ilan University. Together, we'll reflect on nearly 2 years of unprecedented challenges and also look ahead. I encourage everyone watching to add your questions in the chat box. We'll do our very best to save time at the end to respond directly. But if we don't have enough time or we don't get to your question, we hope to give you a response offline. Your questions will not disappear into the ether. So let's get going. Arie, let's start at the beginning. In the days and weeks immediately following October 7th, Bar-Ilan University was thrust into a reality no university really prepares for. Can you walk us through those first steps, how you rallied to support students, faculty, and staff?
Hi, Alan. Hi, Jessica. Thank you, Alan, for this interesting question. I want to take you back to October 7th, to the evening of October 7th. Today it looks so far away, and when I thought about it, it took me a while to kind of reflect back of what happened that day. But I think that it might be interesting to understand now. I don't think that many of us remember the timeline of things because so many things have happened since. But what I remember is that around early evening after Shabbat, the best news that we had at that point was talking about something quite severe, but they were talking about something like 100, I think the number 150 people that were hurt. We didn't hear the word murdered so much. We heard the word killed. That day, this was an unbelievable number. And this was the moment when I decided to call in we call a war room for the university to see how do we respond to those to this situation. Actually, I was busy the whole day until that moment because we have international students that don't really understand the situation. We were very much worried about the campus, the security of the campus itself, which was more or less empty, and we had to bring in all the security people. We were worried about cyber attacks. We really didn't know what's coming. But at that moment, we called in a war room. Obviously, the people reacted very quickly. And we had our first war room meeting, which later was a daily issue for us. And at that moment, we made two decisions. I took two decisions at that very specific moment. The first decision was to set up a team that will take care of all those who were hurt somehow by the war. I didn't know the numbers at that point, but I can tell you that by now, 67 of the Bar-Ilan family were killed or murdered during this war. We had many wounded, most of them students, but also some faculty. I understood that there are going to be a large number of evacuees. And we set up a team that will take care of all those people. Obviously, I was involved, but someone had to follow up and make sure that we do what we need to do. And the second decision was that we actually call each and every one of our students. We make phone calls to see how they're doing, where they are, how are they, do they need any help? And actually, we took the lists. At that point, we had 20,000 students. Now we have 22,000, but at that point, we had 20,000 students. We spread the list among the faculty, and we made actually 20,000 phone calls to our students. For most of them, it was nice to get a call and to understand that there is someone out there that really cares about them. But for some of them, it was critical. We had people who lost their homes. We had to take care of that. We had people who lost their families. We had to take care of that. We had a lot of work on our hands that actually was generated by those phone calls. We immediately understood that we need to have a hotline with the specialists in psychology and those things, which we put together. We have an amazing faculty of department of psychology. We have a lot of graduates that volunteered immediately. We have PhD students who could join. And this is how I started the war. And if I may add a personal and semi-personal moment, that evening, I also had another issue. My daughter was actually locked in a safe room down there in Gaza. And with her kids and husband, and this was also an issue. There was also one of our faculty, Professor Eitan Okon, who was in Kibbutz Alumim. I actually called him. We had a very short conversation. He said he was okay, and he would call me later. He called me later, and he told me a little bit about his day. And I think this was more or less the moment that we understood the level of tragedy that came around. And it took us 2 to 3 days to understand that something like 30% of our students were calling for reserve duty. And it was clear that we will not be able to start the school year. It was clear that we have to take care of other things. Just to give you, just give you an impression of what happened on those days. I think it was on the second night, on October 8th, I got a phone call from one of our faculty. His nephew was killed on October 7th. The family was going nuts because they couldn't get the body. There were too many bodies. Nobody could take care. and he asked me if I can help to find the body. Now, this is something that I was never trained to do. But the next morning, they had their funeral. Little things that you do along the way. And meanwhile, we had to take care of our students. And we made a decision to push the school year, to follow them. Some of you may remember that we also started a campaign to generate scholarships for the students. We wanted to tell them they should concentrate on what they do, and we will have their back. We will just make sure that they are fine. And at that time, I was sure that it's a matter of weeks. And after several weeks, things will get better, and we'll be able to get back to not to normal life. It was clear that this is much bigger than anything we experienced before, but we'll get back to regular or semi-regular school year.
It was a pretty
But this
difficult
is-
time, Arie. Very difficult time. Those are incredibly moving comments. Powerful. But as the months went on, once those initial emergency measures were in place, what did you and Bar-Ilan University focus on through the end of the school year?
We focused mostly on making sure that each and every one of our students will finish their school year, will finish their degree, or will finish the school year, and will be able to continue with their idea of life. It's not only the soldiers, it's not only those who were on reserve, it also includes the spouses which were left behind, typically with kids, typically with other issues on their head. And we wanted to make sure, that's actually what I promised them, that no one will be left behind, that we will take care of all of them, and they will have their degree, they will have a good degree, a successful degree, so that they will be able to continue with their lives. That was the main issue that we have to take care of. Since we pushed the school year until December, we had to shorten it. And shortening a school year in a university with thousands of courses and thousands of teachers is not something trivial. It required a lot of management and work. And when we started the school year, we realized that significant part of our students didn't come back yet. So after 3 weeks, when we felt that we have a significant number, we decided to send everyone home, excluding the reservists, and we gave them a full week to recover with a big hug and with a lot of support. And from that moment on, we took care of every student. We took care of them. Some of them arrived weeks before the end of the semester. Some of them skipped the first semester. Some of them came back and went after 2-3 weeks back to the front line. Thousands of different stories, thousands of different situations, and we just took care of every student. Every student. I can't tell you how much effort it took, but we have amazing body of faculty, people who gave private tutorials in the evening, made special exams for people who missed it, their exams, opened their homes and their hearts to each and every one of those students. And at the end of the year, I'm jumping to the end of the year, which was pushed into the summer. When we checked, we realized that the students who were on reserve did in the exams better than the regular population.
Arie, can you talk about that award that was given to Bar-Ilan? That was the students themselves nominated Bar-Ilan for this award because you took such good care of them.
Yeah, the Ministry of Defense, the Minister of Defense decided to generate some kind of award for organizations that took very good care of reservists. And they didn't talk to the organizations themselves, they talked to the reservists and asked them to nominate. And actually, the reservists nominated 500 different organizations, private, public, for-profit, for non-profit, all kind of organizations. 500 came on the list. And out of the 500, we were selected to get the award. I assume that it's for a good reason.
It's surely for a good reason, Arie. So you finished this first school year, and now we're at the start of a new school year. We're in Elul, coming up on Rosh Hashanah. How has the experience of the last 23 months shaped your vision for the 2025-2026 academic year?
Actually, you skipped a year in the middle.
Aha, okay, you're right.
We finished the first year, then we had a second year.
All right, you're right. You're right.
And on the second year,
I don't want to believe it so long.
Oh no, I won't take too much time, but I mention it because the second year has become in some ways easier and in some ways more complicated. It became easier because we were already experienced with some of the things and we knew how to approach it. We had a resilience center that we developed during the first year already in place to help people who came back with traumas, with different traumas, mainly soldiers. The whole organization was working in that spirit, in that way. But it was also more complicated because if you try to help a student over 1 year, it's one type of work. On the second year, it becomes much more complicated. It starts to accumulate. More and more issues accumulate. And now we finished the second year. Again, I can say proudly that when we check the dropout rate of reservists, people who were on reserve, it is smaller than the general population, the other population. These are fighters. These are people who will not give up. And these are people that when you give them support, they appreciate it and they fight. And these are actually the leaders of tomorrow. This is a serious group of people that you will hear a lot about in the future. And now, as you said, after the second year, we're about to start the third year. It will start after Sukkot. At this point, as much as we know, more than 5,000 of our students are again on reserve. And if you want to get a feeling, last week we had a ceremony to give out 334 PhDs to people who finished their PhD. And among those 334, there was one who graduated in computer science with 570 days of reserve during his PhD. Obviously, he couldn't do it alone. He had a lot of help with his fellows who could run programs for him and could run things, but he wasn't the only one, but he was the most remarkable story of this period. And unless something changes and somehow things will, they will decide to pull back in Gaza, we'll enter the third year of war. Some of the students already graduated, those who were in reserve, but some of them will do the third year under these conditions. And it's typically the same people. It's typically the same people who were on the first year, the second year, and the third year. These are those who served in specific units, military, went on reserve, continue doing that. And it's again us who will have to take care of them, we'll have to follow them, to help them, and we don't give up on the quality. We just don't give up on the quality. Each time they come and they ask for something, I tell them that I'm not going to ruin their life by giving them a degree that doesn't worth what it is. Tell them together, we will do it. We will succeed. I say we, but it's them who will succeed. And you will be very proud of what you did, very powerful. You will have an amazing start for your life.
I think, Arie, there is a we in there, to be honest with you, and I think a lot of people on this call would agree. I have a question for you about, well, you're responding on the ground. There was a byproduct of this war that we've all seen in the United States, which is, and the world, in Europe as well, which is the anti-Semitism that seemed to have risen a lot on our college campuses, but we see marching in the streets. I live in New York and I've seen it myself. But we were together last week, and when we were together last week, you spoke about a silent boycott that's affecting all Israeli universities. It's a slow drip that's like that's affecting how Israel's going to be able to do R&D and eventually its economy and give out PhDs, and nobody's really talking about this. And I think it's really important that we start talking about it. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Unfortunately, yes. When you were exposed to the dramatic demonstrations that happened on October 7th and the days after that in Harvard, in Columbia University, and they made some kind of noise, or a lot of noise at that point. You felt it very well out there in America. But for the academy, at the beginning, we didn't feel it. I mean, there were small things. I actually got quite a lot of support from friends, people who felt close. We got very emotional support, and it was very, very nice. But with the time passing, and with a relatively long delay, we started to see more and more of this boycott, which recently, the last 2 months, has become a flood of those issues. I can tell you that just today, I got a message from one of our deans. She was she's visiting actually for 2 weeks. She's visiting a colleague in Spain, in a university, not in Madrid, in a university in the south. She was supposed to give 2 lectures over there by invitation. They invited her to give two lectures. And the last 2 days, they started to make noise, all kind of acquisitions, and all kind of shaming and on social media, also on billboards on campus. And eventually they had to cancel her lecture, both lectures. She's coming from criminology, and she's an amazing person. She was accused of war crimes. She was accused of killing people, of murdering people, all kind of things of that kind. And she will come back next week after a small lecture that she will give only to a few friends over there, with a big wound in her heart or in her feeling. Although I spoke to her before she went there, and she, in a way, considered that something like this could happen. But once it happened, you feel very bad after that.
What
And
about research grants? Is it affecting your research grants and money coming into the university?
Yes, of course. This is touching to what you call silent boycott, where people don't want to review grants, they don't want to review papers. Papers are being rejected from journals for no reason, with stupid remarks. But then you get also answers which are quite aggressive, like one of our professors who got a response to a paper she sent, and it came back with a review saying, we don't see any connection between this paper and your crime in Gaza. Or projects of the EU that people were part of and were forced to leave. I don't see anyone succeeding to generate a collaboration with European colleagues. It's not always that they are against something, but they don't want to bother. They don't want to take a risk that because of having an Israeli in their group, they will lose their grant. In some cases, universities announced that they will have no contact with us. It became really deep and really difficult.
And if you don't publish, you don't get grants. You don't get grants, you can't support your lab or your graduate students. So it's affecting the university across the board.
If you don't publish, if you don't have grants, you can't move forward. And even in a lighter view of this, if you're not part of the international community, you are missing significant part of what science is all about and the way we do science. So it's really, really difficult. It's actually all universities in Israel suffer from the same thing.
Okay.
We don't have anything to do about it.
Arie, I'm going to switch topics for a minute, a topic that you don't love talking about, which is you. Which is you as a university president, and I get to spend a lot of time with you, so I hear amazing stories about you as a pilot, about you as a top researcher in energy, your labs. You started the nanotechnology faculty at Bar-Ilan, and your own journey. And you were part of 5 startups, one of which saved lives on October 7th, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that. But how has that journey helped shape you as a president?
This is a complicated question.
I knew you were going to say that because I know you.
You know, my father once told me that when I got 18, he bought me a backpack for the military service, and he said, once you finish the military service, just keep it on your back and fill it with experience. So this is what I try to do, to fill my backpack, to fill myself with experience. I assume that being a commander in the Air Force, that being a leader in the Air Force at a very young age doesn't hurt. If you fly and you are the commander of 8 planes, and you have to do something, and you have to take fast decisions, and you have to make sure that that you bring everyone back home, and you try not to make mistakes. If you make mistakes, you try to learn from mistakes rather than beat yourself. If you have this experience, I assume that it helps to build the ability to lead something. And it's the same later when I was in the lab. You have a research group, and you have students, and you go in directions that are you go in new directions. If you try to investigate something that was investigated before, you will not innovate anything. You will not bring anything new. So you have to go into unrevealed areas, and again, you have to take students with you, and you have to promise them that they will finish their PhD, despite the fact that they don't understand where they are going, and they don't see if it's going to work or not. So you lead them, and hopefully successfully. And then when I made my startup companies, again, you have to take people and convince them that we are going to succeed, that we are going to really make something, really generate impact, make a difference in this world. And people have to believe, have to come with you, have to try and do things that were not done before, try and solve problems that were not solved before, develop materials that didn't exist before. And when you succeed, you can go for the next journey. And my next journey was to become the president of Bar-Ilan, was elected. So hopefully all this experience was worthwhile. I hope so.
Lucky to have you. And I thank you for everything you've done.
Maybe we can ask Alan, how does he see it as a chair? Not about me, ignore me. The university, you've been an active member of the board for a long time, and now you've become chair, and you've been in close contact throughout the war and before the war. We know each other for a very, very long time, and you know the university even more than we know each other. And how do you see this whole era, this whole period?
Well, Arie, I see this whole period as a time for us to be able to see what really makes Bar-Ilan unique. And I spoke earlier about Bar-Ilan DNA, and I'd say it's really an expression of Jewish DNA. Jews worldwide reacted in an unprecedented way when they learned of the October 7th Simchat Torah, or for us in the diaspora, Shmini Atzeret attack. The Bar-Ilan family of supporters were, of course, immediately and uniformly responsive in asking what they could do. The leadership of Bar-Ilan thought carefully, that's you, about what was needed most, and quickly identified that helping our students and faculty, those who were literally attacked, those who immediately sprung into the defense of Israel, those whose studies were interrupted, those who were even indirectly impacted, would be of paramount importance to support. Focused campaigns like the Academic Armor and We Have Your Back initiative and the procurement of portable medical ultrasound devices. Do you remember that? How we raised money for that? For battlefield medics, made large impacts. The establishment of...
We actually, I know specifically, we actually saved lives with this initiative. very
It
specific.
it was hard to imagine that they didn't have enough of them, but you worked closely with people in the IDF, in the medical school that we have also, the researchers, and came up with, well, what could we do? What could we do? And that was determined to be something important. You talked about it earlier. You established hotlines for trauma support, and those made a huge difference, as mental health is overlooked by many, but crucial to everyone's well-being. And we know it so well today with all the PTSD. Then the immediate deployment of Bar-Ilan's mobile optometric clinic and lab crucially served countless people who, in fleeing, had often lost their eyewear. Who would have thought? But that's, the sensitivity that Bar-Ilan has in the way it thinks about people. It's all focused on people. The deployment of psychologists, you talked about that, but you remember the teddy bear thing, where they put teddy bears into the hands of traumatized kids, and they use those teddy bears in those hands as a therapeutic tool. I guess this is something that psychologists know about, but to me, it was an incredibly impactful and inventive idea. There was unprecedented solidarity across all the continents of the world of our supporters. The Bar-Ilan family rallied with financial, moral, and spiritual support. Bar-Ilan University is not only an Israeli institution, but a global Jewish institution, infusing Jewish and Zionist values into its work, not only on behalf of its own community of students, faculty, and staff, but also in its work on behalf of the entirety of Israeli society, and in fact, the entirety of the Jewish people worldwide. That's what Bar-Ilan is to me.
Thank you. With this, we have to move forward into the future, because that's the main thing we have to be focused all the time. We used to say the day after. Nobody uses this phrase anymore here. It's not the day after. It's not like one day, it will be after. It's an era that we will have to generate. We will have to generate it. And in that sense, I know that we send out every year something between 6,000 to 7,000 educated people to Israeli community. And when we send them out, besides being professionals in whatever they studied, they have some of this Jewish DNA that we try and transfer so deeply into their hearts by study, by example, by providing them with a sense of purpose that is so strong on campus. And I believe that they are making a difference.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. And they're making a difference, and they're creating opportunities. They're creating opportunities for Bar-Ilan, for the entirety of the Jewish people. Jews around the world have become quite united. We all felt pain on October 7th. Some of us had friends or relatives directly impacted. Most of us just saw and heard about the true horror and evil that unfolded. We were watching it on TV. We were also sickened when the world didn't uniformly react with shock and dismay, but instead were baffled when we ironically heard of support for the perpetrators. I spoke about the anti-Semitism issues earlier. We feared for Israel, and we actually began to fear for ourselves too. The Jewish people are the most resilient people on earth. The nations of the world have sought to destroy us countless times, but we nonetheless endure. We persevere like no other people. Here we are in the midst of wartime, and there's actually incredible solidarity. The Jewish people in Bar-Ilan in particular need to harness this solidarity and transform it into a mindset that focuses on long-term investment and not just short-term reaction to pain. We have to build a stronger, more resilient academic future. We must continue to invest in our campuses, both in the physical buildings, but most importantly, in our people, our students, faculty, and staff. Of course, we need help from everyone on this call, but we need to find a way to broaden participation to every Jew. We are truly an institution that can and should appeal to every Jew worldwide. Our challenge is to craft a message that will touch and meet each Jew where they are at. We are working steadfastly to achieve this goal. Jessica, let me turn to you. Jessica, AFBIU donors made so much possible, from academic armor to scholarships. Can you share how they responded this year and how you're building on that momentum?
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned before that Bar-Ilan's a little bit different than the other universities, and it's somewhat different because it was actually started, or the concept of Bar-Ilan was started here in New York. It was started by Americans who felt that Israel needed a different type of university, and it was focused on Jewish values. And as it progressed and as it grew, the science became as important. So it's a meshing. And I once asked you, Alan, why Bar-Ilan? You could be chairman of so many different organizations. And I remember your response. Do you remember your response? I'll tell you your response.
I'm sure it has something to do with the fusion of Jewish values and
Jewish
science. But
values
tell
and
me what I
science.
said.
He said, talk about, you take Jewish values and then you take science and technology, and it's a way of merging them together, and in a way that you don't see in very many places. So, and I remember that, and I think about that a lot. I think the people who love Bar-Ilan really came through during that time. I mean, universities really have two missions. It's to educate students, so it's to create leaders for the future, and it's to conduct research, right? And Bar-Ilan, talks about this other piece of the university, its DNA, its Jewish values, its third mission, and it's all three of those together. And I think any thinking country, any country that's developing economically has strong universities. And it's a backbone of any country. And, I remember when that book, Start Nation, kind of came out, and we all walked around really excited and a lot of pride. We all knew it, but when we read that book, it was a big deal. It's still a big deal. And universities are going to affect Israel's economy down the road. It's going to help us, believe it or not, create peace, because countries are going to understand that they want to be connected to this country, this small country that's doing incredible work, and is coming up with new and better ways of solving the world's problems. And I think that and the defense tech, I remember also when those beepers went off, and I just need to say the word beepers and everybody knows what we're talking about. And we all walked around like, wow, right? And then the Iran war, we all walked around, wow. It's in the intelligence, it's the technology, it's the defense tech that's being worked on at these universities, which is so important. So it's about the future. It's about the future, Israel's future. It's about today, the students today, which Arie spoke about, but we have to kind of think ahead, really think ahead. And that's what supporting a university is all about.
Excellent. I think that you've synthesized all the different aspects of what makes Bar-Ilan important.
There's actually one story that Arie told me last week that I just want to share about that third piece of Bar-Ilan. It kind of brings all three together. There was a medical school graduation of our MDs. We have a medical school up in Sfat, and this year we graduated 150 new doctors, which is beautiful. 149 of them came to graduation. One could not come. I think his name was Ohad. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing this correctly. And Arie showed me a picture. So Arie, tell the story. What happened with Ohad? We did not let him not graduate, right?
It's like the PhD story in the South.
Yeah, bad. Arie.
So he couldn't come, we couldn't go to see him because he was deep inside Gaza. So we actually sent in all the costume and the certificate and everything went in. And his commander actually gave him the certificate, made him an MD, a physician in
Right.
Gaza. I think he is the first and only one with such a ceremony.
And the
And
picture is him standing up next to a tank in the white coat, taking the Hippocratic Oath. It's really, it's something. And the picture has his face, of course, blocked out because you can't really know who he is in media, but they just wouldn't let him fall behind. I mean, that's what Bar-Ilan's all about. They just want to, and that's what our donors to AFBIU are all about. They're willing to be part of this mission. That's, being part of this mission of not letting any of our students fall behind, not letting the research fall behind, and showing our support from afar, but really showing our support the way we can, and sending love.
It's beautiful.
So
Absolutely beautiful.
maybe afterwards, Arie, when we send an email out, we can share that picture. It's a wonderful picture, and we can all smile. No, and we all know the story.
okay, that will be wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to tell him that you're sending his picture out, but
his face is covered on this picture, so it's fine. And I believe that he will become he will become a good physician, and he has an amazing future ahead of him. He must have.
and we all think about, leadership. I mean, before October 7th, we were talking about, there's a lot of politicians that we know that seem to run over and over again. And where's the new leadership? Where are the young people? Why are they not going into community service and politics? And Bar-Ilan takes that seriously. They're working on leadership programs and in different faculty in law and political science to build the next generation of leaders. And I think that's something that they take quite seriously, because we're only as good as our leadership, right? I know in Shul and Shabbos, we say the prayer for the American government, and we say, please give our leaders the ability, I'm sure I'm not saying this 100%, to lead. I mean, the moral foresight. And I think, and there's a disproportionate number of Bar-Ilan graduates in the government of Israel, because we teach civics and it's rooted in Jewish values, and we want to create moral, ethical, and effective leaders for the state of Israel. It's one of the unspoken mandates.
And we contribute very, very well to the state of Israel. And we're an essential part of the fabric of the country.
Yeah, and I think that now that we are facing a new year that will start next week. It's a good moment to look back, learn from what we did, learn from the mistakes, learn from the good things that we did, and actually exercise the theme of Bar-Ilan to make impact for the tomorrow already today. And I'm sure that once we go past Rosh Hashanah, we'll have a different year. We'll have a different year. Maybe it will take a while, but we will have a different year, and we'll be able to move forward and excel despite all the complexities and difficulties we see today. I look at the young generation. It's strange that I have to say young generation. It means that I am not young. But I look at the young generation, and I see a very promising, very serious, very powerful generation. And I'm confident that we have an amazing future ahead of us.
Well,
Arie,
I think that
I have just a quick other question. Has the topics you're teaching, and not the way you're teaching them, but has the topics changed? Meaning, Bar-Ilan has a very, very strong psychology department. And the buzzword is trauma, PTSD and trauma, and we're still treating people from the Yom Kippur War. So are the not the way you're teaching, but what you're teaching the next generation of trauma specialists. Has that become a bigger part of the academic setting because of the war?
And special thing about university is that the teachers are also researchers. It's not like in Israel, we have also colleges. We call it college. I know it's not the American college, it's a different college. But over there are only teachers. There are teachers who teach academic courses. At the university, all the teachers, or most of the teachers, are also researchers. So when a researcher comes into the class, he or she will bring their own research into the class. They will bring their life into the class. Sometimes they teach something which is not exactly what they investigate, but they bring in the spirit, they bring in the power. Therefore, I'm sure that in each profession and in each class, there is something that is entering into the class. On top of that, obviously, we have made additions and special courses, whether it has to do with defense tech, whether it has to do with psychology, whether it has to do with different topics, all kind of, even life science, even faculty of medicine. It's always like emergency medicine. Little additions that have come in because of the war, because of the long war and the experience and things that we do. And it comes in because many of our faculty felt that they have to do something, even in their research, to do something for the war. So they did some kind of something that will help the nation in this situation. So you bring it to the class, and the students understand it.
So Arie, you've covered all the different bases that we thought you would cover, and we have just a short period of time left. There are some questions. I'm afraid that any single answer you give might not allow us any time. I am going to ask one, just because we have a couple seconds left, and AI. What's the what do you see as AI's role in Bar-Ilan's future? I know that it's something that we're all mystified by a bit, and some of us are embracing it and using it already. Can you tell us more about you prioritizing it? And speak for 2 minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up. And then I want to assure everybody else that the questions that you've submitted, we're going to get back to you offline.
I'll just say quickly that obviously AI is coming into the campus dramatically. The way we treat it in three different vectors, or in three different verticals. One has to do with the teaching, one has to do with the research, and one has to do with the administration. Administration is more or less what you will see in many, many other companies, that they bring in all kind of AI tools to do the work more efficient or better. In teaching, we embrace it in three different levels, but I will mention quickly two. Soon we will have, for each course, we'll have an AI tutor that will help the students study, that will follow the students and will be together with them for questions, for extension, whatever you want. And also we are going to try and figure out where are the difficulties, where are the places where students face difficulties based on AI, and understand where do we have to push more or to teach more or to explain more, to make them more successful based on this information. And obviously, when I go to research, there is a lot of work done in research. It is very much depending on the specific topic and subject. This is a much longer discussion, but it's there. And I know that some people embrace it, some people are a little bit afraid of it, some people ignore it. We don't have it's
You
there.
have no chance, but you have to embrace it. And I just want to give you a chance to talk a bit about science, and you did, because we've been talking about encouraging but difficult topics before now, and I know that if you had it, your druthers, you'd just speak science all day. But so on behalf of Bar-Ilan and the American Friends of Bar-Ilan, I want to thank everyone on this call for joining us. What we've heard today is clear. Bar-Ilan University stands strong because of its people and because of a global community that rallies behind them. As we step into the new year, I invite you to be part of this mission. Your support directly changes students' lives. You'll find a donation link in the comments or at afbiu.org/support now. Shana Tova, Kativa v'Chatima Tova. And may this be a year of strength, hope, and peace. Bring them back now. End this war. And keep everyone safe. Shana Tova.
Tova. Shana Tova.